And we'll begin today with a little more of that, but then transition into beginning to talk about what we can do in response. So our work is to seek to support people being defenders of the target and to see if we can also be defenders of the target. And a few important reminders. Bullying is a cycle. Typically, people who are bullies have experienced bullying themselves. So this is why it is important to have compassion for the person in spite of perhaps having hatred for their act. We need to break the cycle of hating and hurting. And I don't know how it translates, but in English, we have a phrase, it's important to be the bigger person. And another phrase that I like in English, two wrongs don't make a right. So to break the cycle, we have a pretty clear goal. And we know that one of the common factors involved in bullying in Ukraine right now involves targeting people who have been displaced by the war. So it is our challenge to seek to support even people who do not align with our geographic or cultural beliefs. In a world where even political leaders can be bullies, it is very important for us to build cultures of safety and security. In the end, what connects us all is our common humanity. And this point of connection is where we need to begin in order to break this cycle. We want to also remind you of an invitation we made in the first week of this training. So, in the spirit of building these connections, we wanted to bring this slide back from the first week of our training. And for most of today, we are going to ask you to consider your own perspective so that you can best learn how to help other people. For this meeting, it will be a thought exercise. You will not be asked to report anything. But as we proceed, we invite you to imagine your own situation in your mind and apply it so that you can best learn how to share this information with other people. So we first want you to consider how is it that you cope in these stressful situations? And we'd like to offer a few suggestions here. Sometimes hateful and hurtful words are inspired by anger or fear. And so, if we can more effectively regulate our own physiological arousal, then we can decrease impulsive, angry, hurtful actions. This is one of the reasons why in so many trainings people remind you to breathe. Part of this is becoming aware of the physiological signs of arousal in your body. Notice your signs of stress. Some common ones include elevated heart rate, muscular tension, and physical agitation and excessive movement. Now, in other trainings, we have videos posted. We have talked about stress reduction techniques. And so we invite you to explore those topics if you would. But the first step is always developing an awareness of how you respond to stress. And similarly, on the theme of awareness, it's useful to pay attention to your assessment of other people. Also, social media use has been found to be an additional stressor.
Hmm.
But there is a connection between more than 3 hours of social media use per day and a number of negative mental health outcomes. And these include everything from anxiety to depression to suicidality and to bullying. Some more tips for you. When we are not able to change the outside world, sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is focus on our own thoughts and reactions. This is not easy, and we are not suggesting to ignore um, other emotions and other thoughts. But we are suggesting that you engage in the intentional cultivation of positive, helpful, and thoughts of connection. There have even been studies that have shown doing physical behaviors that are connected to positive mood can make you feel more of a positive mood. For example, if you smile big and look in a mirror and do that, there are shifts in the hormones produced in your body. And there is a concept called a power pose,
Hmm.
where you stand with your hands on your hips and your legs wide and your body open. Stand in a power pose for a short amount of time um, before engaging in a stressful activity. They have more confidence and then better outcomes in that activity. Dr. Scarlett is a Ukrainian-born psychologist who now lives in the United States. She was exposed to nuclear radiation at Chernobyl when she was 3 years old. In particular, when big rainstorms would happen, she would fall very ill. And when she moved to the United States at 12 years old, um, the kids in her school were very mean to her, bullied her, and called her radioactive. And as a teenager, Dr. Scarlett learned about the X-Men superhero comics and movies. And she was struck by the fact that all of these superheroes received their superpowers after being exposed to radiation. So she was able to see an example of how an experience she had was reframed as a source of power as opposed to something to be made fun of and bullied for. The character named Storm was inspirational for Dr. Scarlet because Storm's powers were also connected to the weather. So Dr. Scarlet took this inspiration from the X-Men and turned it into a therapeutic technique. This did not change the fact that she had been exposed to dangerous levels of radiation as a child. It did not change the fact that she was bullied as a teenager. But having an opportunity to reframe her understanding of her experience became empowering for her. It helped her feel like her experience made sense. It helped her find a way to give back to other people. And it became an example of the kind of connection building that we keep talking about here. Because meaning making and creating connections are a healing combination. And plus, this is a way to be creative, use your imagination, and have some fun. In our previous lectures on hope, we talked about a kind of hope that is envisioning a future that has yet to be.
Mhm.
Identifying with a superhero is one example of how you can bring that kind of hope into your work. And like with Dr. Scarlet, the examples of superhero stories can help us see our weaknesses differently. And engaging in this kind of work helped Dr. Scarlet move from seeing herself as a radioactive mutant to becoming a famous psychologist who helps people all around the world. And while we are focusing on the work of one Ukrainian-born psychologist, Dr. Scarlett is not the only person to talk about the importance of this. The world's leading expert on mythology is named Joseph Campbell. Joseph Campbell created a term called the hero's journey. He found evidence across all kinds of cultures, across the ages of this phenomenon called the hero's journey. And it's a story that we are all familiar with in one version or another. The story goes like this. A person lives a relatively normal life. Then they go through a period of extreme struggle and hardship. These experiences of hardship create or inspire strengths and abilities and powers in the person. And as the person journeys through the challenges in life, they rise to become a hero. It is only because of the struggles that the person grows to possess their strengths. Dr. Scarlett says that superheroes show up even when it's hard because they believe in what they stand for.
Цей саме зв'язок з віруваннями, воно нас пов'язує з ще одним видом надії.
Because it can be inspiring for you, but these are also questions that you can share with people that you are supporting. So we invite you to think of heroes or superheroes that have powers and abilities that you admire. And this character does not need to be from a comic book if they have inspiring qualities and powers and traits, then that's good enough. And maybe at first you don't entirely know why this superhero is inspiring. If so, take a minute and think about the values that the superhero represents. This is why superheroes from comic books and movies are good examples to use here because they oftentimes tell you directly what they represent. And maybe as you are thinking about this, you are having trouble deciding between more than one hero. In fact, we have many, many stories and many movies in which superheroes combine their powers to overcome great adversity. With your superheroes in mind, we remind you of this quote here, there are no innocent bystanders. And we remind you of the problem that 90% of people who witness bullying are uncomfortable, but only 20% do anything.
І хочемо вам нагадати про статистику, що 90 людей відчувають себе некомфортно, коли бачать булінг, але лише 20 роблять щось, щоб покласти край цькуванню.
So we wonder how you can call upon the powers of your superhero to transform yourself into a defender of the target. And we invite you to ask this very question, to do this exercise with people that you're supporting. Here is where creativity and connection and meaning making can make a difference. Because bullying happens in a social context, even if that's online. So if we can work with other people to create social contexts based in values and beliefs of connection, then we change the social context. And that may not stop a fight right now, but this is where we look beyond our present moment to the future with faith and hope of the changes we can make. So we encourage you to adapt this and try this out where you work. Whether it be with adults or children, there are enough stories of heroic acts that we can undoubtedly find examples that will resonate with people. And in the grand scales of life, every action that we do in support of connection adds one little piece onto that side of the scale. So we'll take a moment to bring this meeting to a close. Trish, is this one where you'd like me to take it, or do you have a thought on the matter? I'd like you to stick with this scales metaphor for a moment. And just to imagine the weights that you may be carrying. And take a moment, and it may help to check in with your own body right now. Notice where you feel the weights of the world, and notice where you feel the hope and the strength and the power of the superhero. The weights of the world will put themselves in your hand without you needing to do anything. So it is our job to fill our other hand. And so as you take a breath and perhaps relax your shoulders a little, consider this. In the spirit of making a better world and breaking the cycle of hating and hurting, what can you put in your hand right now? Maybe that comes easy to you, and maybe you need a little assistance. One thing you can put in your hand right now is someone else's hand. So whether you need help putting something in your hand, or you are ready to give help to someone else by extending your hand, we invite you to put your hands out. Imagine that you are either reaching for someone else's hand or extending your hand to someone that you think might need it right now. And together, we hold each other's hands. As you squeeze the other person's hand, feel the heat and the power in your palms. Take a very full, energized breath and know that this is our shared superpower. You are not alone. We are connected together. To end this conversation, either put your hands together or make a heart.